This show furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyers Group.
We don't care 'cause we only see you as sex objects. You should open your jobs and go on
This is live. I don't know if I can do this. This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KBC. I'm Karl Gerber. If you have recently lost a loved one, you may find this show in rather poor taste. But in the meantime, before we get to the sketch, I'm going to bore you with some very interesting and important statistics. We'll be on to the comedy sketch in about 60 seconds. How often do people change careers? Should they change careers? At what age is it too old to change careers? These are amongst the serious issues we will deal with tonight. While statistics exist about how often people change jobs, there are not any reliable statistics on how often people change careers. In 2015, the Bureau of Labor Statistics found people born between 1957 and 1964 held an average of 11.9 jobs from ages 18 to 50. On average, men held 12.1 jobs and women held 11.6 jobs. 5.5 of these jobs were held between ages 18 to 24. With job changes decreasing with age throughout, whites held more jobs than minorities. However, the number of jobs held with age started to decline. Workers held an average of 4.5 jobs when they were 25 to 34 years old and 2.8 jobs when they were 35 to 44 years old. During most established phases, many workers' careers, 45 to 50 workers had only average jobs. Persons born between 1957 and 1964 are considered younger baby boomers. Studies found that millennials will change jobs an average of 4 times in their first decade out of college, compared to about 2 job changes by Gen Xers their first 10 years out of college. Overall, the statistics demonstrate few change careers because few change jobs when they're over 45.
I changed careers.
Yeah, I understand you changed careers at an age over 40 or 45, and I'm dying to find out how that worked out.
Do you want me to impersonate you dead? I can do that.
Not necessarily. How do you know what I'd like to be the way when I'm dead?
It's usually the same. Say, do you have any statistics on how often an imposter changes careers? I tried to get that info from the union, but they weren't no help.
I don't do a lot of work with imposters unions. Although I've represented employees for most professions, I haven't ever represented an imposter on account of their credibility problems.
After 25 years, I was a crackerjack mountebank.
After 25 years being an employment lawyer, I'm stuck scripting this awful show.
Would you rather be a crackerjack mountebank in the imposters union?
Not really, but this brings to question the issue of whether the imposters union has your name.
Oh!
Yeah, when you appeared in episode 34, wherein you showed up as Myron Alfumbra, pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M, you were impostering him because he allegedly lost his shirt at a high-stakes dreidel game. We learn you go by a howl sound.
And that's how the two of us reconnected last week.
Yes, a rather unfortunate event.
Playing coyote?
I was out on the lot where the hills have eyes in Studio City. At least my wife's big eyes, big beautiful eyes, that is. Are they really that big, or do they just look that way? Well, those hills with the eyes is where I stock my trucks, commercial van, construction equipment, and thousands of feet of rebar just in case I have to touch somebody like Dumas, Remus Helms, even you. I was playing around with the kids making animal sounds when they were pelting me with Nerf bullets. And then you appeared by the pile of rotting wood.
Oh! I thought you were calling me by name.
I thought I was making a coyote noise, not a wolf sound.
I just finished doing a job on a lot above where life was good to this celebrity. I had a Maserati, gold records on the wall. I even got my license revoked. Since that imposter job was over, I figured the union was calling me for another gig when I heard you.
I'm getting the distinct impression you defrauded somebody up there who didn't know Joe moved.
Come on, do you really think I've got a big nose and long blonde hair on the sides?
How am I supposed to know? You're an imposter. Every time I see you, you look different. Tonight you look like, Fred Flintstone.
No, Bonnie Rubble. Back to the story. The last gig really got to me. I didn't feel right about it. Selling those gold records, that ex-great ball player, his mind was all mashed up like Gerber baby food. The kind with the maraschino cherries, horseradish, jello, some organic yams, cigarette buds, and used zigzag papers. You ever try that stuff?
Most certainly not. I'd never feed it to a lemur either.
I took the plunge.
Oh, you got married? Last time you told us about the girlfriend who dumped you for Remus Helmsdahl once her stock options vested or something like that. Did you guys get back together?
No, I just plunged the toilet in the bathroom in the back of the recording studio.
Oh, that wasn't funny.
The one thing I can't imposter is no comedian.
Me either.
To be totally serious, I took the plunge and changed careers after my last imposter gig.
Well, how did that work out? We saw you jabber over in Studio City Hills quite recently, and you were still working the imposter racket.
Tell me, Mr. Gerber, did you know me, and me as, was I?
Yeah, I knew it was you.
Okay, so, now, how can that be possible? I am a famous imposter, the most famous imposter in the union. I am so famous they don't even want me in the union no more. I'm like management.
Yeah, I've seen all these tricks out there witnesses try. Besides, I attended Los Angeles Valet College. Nobody's gonna fool me.
If I knew you intended like LAVC, I never would have thought I'd fool you.
Well, you learn a lot at LAVC. Not everybody, but I did.
Yes, a fine institutional learning facility. I might just go back and get my AA in bagpiping.
Actually, I believe that's a degree that's only available at Carnegie Mellon, not LAVC.
Oh yeah, they offer those AAs in bagging.
Making fun of people?
No, lots of hot sex in one night.
It never ceases to amaze me how many different meanings one word can have.
Who cares? Anyway, I took the first job I could find. Maybe you could give me some career advice. Maybe I should have been more selective.
How long had it been since you'd last been in the job market?
A very long time. I pretty much went into impostering after high school.
I don't suppose you'd like to give us any specifics as to how long.
Nope.
Outside of impostering, do you have any relevant work experience?
You learn an awful lot impostering. I can practically do brain surgery. Well, there's a couple of things I forgot to reconnect.
It's a crime to impostor a doctor. You've done that too?
Doctors, lawyers, engineers of cesspools, even a chief dope waxer.
A chief dope waxer? Wow, I'm impressed.
I got all dressed up in a black frock and cravat, dyed my hair black, and put on some makeup to give me a real nice pallid complexion. I wanted to make an impression.
What sort of impression would that be? Steampunk?
Undertaker.
You were going to become an undertaker?
No, I was going to interview with an undertaker.
Is there something that interested you about undertaking?
Well, you know, it's detail work, but you can make mistakes. Nobody will notice.
Did you get into undertaking business?
The mortuary business, yeah.
Okay, I guess that's better than being an imposter and swindling people.
Hey now, imposters don't always swindle people. We do an awful lot of good services to the public, and not just in other people's bedrooms.
Oh, of course. Imposters are important members of society.
Did you get a job at the mortuary?
It wasn't your normal mortuary.
I wouldn't expect it to be, on account of the guests Remus Helms and Fred Lines furnished me on this show.
Like a lot of mortuaries, there was a religious aspect to the mortuary.
Oh, sure. I understand different religious groups have different practices when it comes to those matters.
Not like Father Rishi Yodinksy. He was a shaman. I mean, Seamus.
I can't keep doing this. I just want to get some clients to call 1-877-525-0700 because they've got an employment case. This is a fake depiction of a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. Karl Gerber is.
Well, thanks for handing this one back to me. Things were getting a little carried away with me claiming you work for a shaman.
No, that's the truth. I did.
Oh, boy, guys. You're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. We have a very famous imposter on the show tonight. If you have a real employment case, you should call me at the office at 877-525-0700. Unpaid wages. Maybe you got defrauded by an imposter. 877-525-0700. Any type of employment case, 877-525-0700. It sounds like the imposter wanted to get out of the impostering racket. He took the plunge. He changed careers. He was over 40, over 45. I don't know what, because I don't really know how old he is. Every time I see this guy, he looks different. Tonight, he showed up looking like Fred Flintstone. So anyway, we're going to find out more about whatever he did at the mortuary and his career change when we come back. You're listening to Talk Radio 790 KBC. Please listen. Live stream on YouTube. Karl Gerber with a K. We're on now.
AM790 KABC.
We don't care 'cause we only see you as sex objects. You should own your jobs and
This is Talk Radio 790 KBC. You're listening to Karl Gerber, Workplace Lawyer Show. And I am Karl Gerber, and we're going to do some babbling here. Now that we cleared those statistics out of the way, we've got a very famous imposter on this show. Hey, imposter, I don't even know what your name is. I thought you went to work at a mortuary.
That's what I was thinking until I got deep into the nostrils of embalming.
This is too morbid. We're going to lose more listeners.
As soon as that happens, I'll tell you the real story. There's all kinds of unusual things.
This whole thing about you wearing a frock and cravat, tie, it's all a farce. It never happened, did it?
This is a fuss, but I really dressed up and got the job at the mortuary.
I'm sort of afraid to ask, but did you pick up any mortuary experience working so many years as an imposter?
None, really. That ain't exactly true. I could have sold caskets with my talents, but that ain't what I went out for at the mortuary. And my lack of skills is one of the reasons I went out for the embalmer position.
I happen to know that under California Business and Professions Code 7643, an embalmer has to be over the age of 18.
Mr. Gerber, there's one thing I won't pretend to be, and that's a minor, at least not since I turned 45.
Okay, you meet that requirement under Sub A, but under Sub B, you can't have committed any acts or crimes constituting grounds for denial of the license under Section 480.
Hey, nobody's got to ever know about all my impostering. Nobody knows. You're not going to report me because you have some ethical obligations. Are you?
We'll see, depending on the rest of your answers. But here's the real kicker. You can't get a license to embalm if you haven't embalmed at least 100 humans under the supervision of an approved apprentice program. I've got a question to ask you. Have you or have you not embalmed over 100 humans?
Not under no approved apprenticeship program, I haven't.
Then you were impostering.
No. I was the assistant to the embalmer. I was apprenticing. I was going to work my way up. Someday draining the bodily fluids of ex-porn stars, restoring mutilated features, maybe a droopy face, maybe some fingers that got broken during transportation from the hospital.
I gotta stop you. I'd say this show thus far is in very poor taste.
We're just getting started.
Let's keep this dignified. We have a lot of crass young listeners who just found out about this particular sketch.
Over at Father Rishi Yodinsky's place, everything was by the book. We weren't using any heavy mineral fluids. Father R.Y., we call him Rye, kind of like the bread, made sure everything was sanitary down to the napkins in the bathroom. I wasn't gonna disappoint. Look at this high-res image of the embalming table. I think it's 8K. You could eat milk and meat off that table. See this picture?
Well, this looks like a pristine establishment, but pardon me for not wanting to drink milk, which I can't do, or meat, which I can't do off the embalming table or anywhere else. I guess my milk and meat thing has saved me on this one.
Yeah, I think you'll tell me I did the right thing. I got Stevie fired for using it as a lunch table.
I think Stevie's behavior was so against company policy, Father Rishi Yodinksy should make sure Stevie's unemployment is denied on account of gross misconduct.
It certainly was gross.
Were you picking up the new trade?
Not exactly.
Wow, a trade the world's most famous imposter couldn't pick up.
Like I said, I'd done it before. Not the right way. Doing it right, doing anything exactly right, isn't so easy.
Well, maybe if you stick at it, you can get your 2-year apprenticeship done. Who knows? Eventually move up to funeral director and take Father Rishi Yodinsky's place.
Like he's a saint. Nobody's ever going to take Father Rishi Yodinsky's place. You should see him.
Should I see him?
Here's his YouTube video.
The guy's wearing a 3-piece suit and he's doing a dance. Is it a tap dance? I don't know. Some fancy footwork there.
I thought you were going to say he looks like Niles from The Nanny, you know, with a gray vest, blue jacket, and tie.
Well, it's the same clothing look, but Father R.Y.'s, he's got an afro.
Hey, look closely. Do you see something?
Heavens to Bismarck! Bisquick pancake mix! That's a yarn loop boober toupee he's wearing!
Actually, it's nylon.
I'm starting to feel there's more to this story than meets the evil eye!
Indeed, Mr. Gerber. Indeed. Get hired with Indeed. Upload your resume on Indeed.
Find any job at any industry.
Why are we doing Indeed commercials?
It beats me. They don't even sponsor the show.
Where are we?
Nowhere.
Oh, yeah, the San Gabriel Mission.
The 21st Mission. It was established in 1771.
Father Rishi Yodinksy was there in 1859 when the mission was returned to the church.
That's not possible.
I'm just repeating what he told me.
It's hogwash. And this man goes around using a religious title.
Maybe he's an imposter.
Father Rishi Yodinsky isn't a priest, is he? I mean, he makes false claims he's a priest?
He is a priest, but not of the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I didn't think so. He runs a mortuary?
And much, much more.
He's a shaman. I'd expect there's more to this story than meets the ankle.
Yes, sir.
I need more information on the shamanism Father Rishi Yodinsky performs.
He's your magician.
He's my magic man. Not my magic man.
Have you heard of the gig economy?
Yes, I have.
Father Rishi Yodinsky's got a whole new order. Lyft drivers, Uber drivers, Postmate drivers, even Amazon customers.
Well, this sounds rather inclusive of everybody. 75% of the public is an Amazon customer.
What about Amazon Prime, huh?
At least a third of the public is a member as Amazon Prime.
But are they Vons Club members? Now that's a club to belong to.
Oh, get this. I'm such an important member. All I have to do is enter my phone number on the keypad when I pay at Vons. I don't even have to flash my Vons card.
Wow. You sure are an important bricklayer. I mean, beneficent lawyer.
Back to Father Rye.
This is different than I thought. I thought Father Rye's adherence was special. You're telling me most of the country is an Amazon customer?
Well, if we take Amazon customers out of the equation, what percent of Father Rye's tapes, adhesives, and adherents were part of the gig economy?
How am I supposed to know? Do you think Father Rye spews out those statistics on a daily purge sessions?
I'd think so. What else does the charlatan have to talk about?
Yeah, he's mostly gagging when he's purging.
Do all the adherents gag at once?
Yeah, the adhesives do. A big morning purge. Late morning gag reflex. They let it all out at lunch. Nothing stays down.
Let's speed this up. I don't think the listeners want to hear about all the purge sessions throughout the day.
You should know. Father Rishi Yodinksy runs the biggest mortuary and funeral business, where all transactions are paid for in bitcoins, wacky package trading cards, and blue chip stamps.
Oh, brother. You left the Imposter Union where you were, you said you were a crackerjack mountebank, all for a fake religious leader who runs a daily purge session and accepts blue chip stamps, which incidentally have not been accepted in the state of California since who knows when.
You do know blue chip stamps eventually merged into Berkshire Hathaway. I was involved.
Let's see. Something on the internet here claims blue chip stamps went on until 1980, but I don't really think it was even going on in California by 74 when I came back from country, where I worked as a journalist and met moonshine.
Hey, Mungo Gerber, blue chip stamps and their predecessor, green stamps, are the same as bitcoins.
This has nothing to do with employment law.
Oh, but it does. I was paid in blue chip stamps.
Well, I will say this. Wages have to be paid in cash or a check that's redeemable at a normal bank, not a bank owned by the employer. You were illegally paid.
Aren't there some other issues with me being paid in blue chip stamps?
Yeah, you'd have to find some ephemeral collector to buy up big lots of those things.
You should know a blue chip stamp goes for $0.10 to $2, depending on who the buying sucker is.
Well, after eBay fees, valid U.S. postage and packing fees, not to mention the vast fluctuations in sucker bids, and the fact you'd need 110 stamps just to clear the $11 an hour minimum wage for an employer of 25 or fewer employees, we're talking about a whole lot of non-redeemable blue chip stamps for each hour you work.
Father Rishi Yodinksy has a whole lot more than 25 employees. Where have you been?
Other than the guests I interact with on this show, I try to circulate amongst a different crowd than whoever is attracted to a mortuary shaman.
Father Rishi Yodinksy is a great man. He has led expeditions to Indonesia.
Oh, man, this is crazy. For reality, I can be reached as a real lawyer at 877-525-0700 if you weren't paid minimum wage. 877-525-0700. I'm licensed in 4 states. I've been doing this over 25 years. 877-525-0700. All right, when we come back, we'll hear more about this imposter on the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, heard on Talk Radio 790 KBC.
Oh, I'm an imposter. And I'm loving the bluffing, but I really know.
Since 1993, the Employment Lawyers Group has been a results-oriented law firm whose goal is to get the client what they deserve. They've represented thousands of California employees who've lost their jobs, been sexually harassed, subjected to employment discrimination, or were owed wages on an individualized or group basis, such as a class action. They have a high rate of success. There are few situations involving employment law that they have not confronted. At the forefront of employee rights, they're often the first employee law firm to confront a new legal issue. For an experienced employment lawyer, call 877-525-0700. That's 877-525-0700. They have call takers standing by. Online, read more about the firm at employeelawca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. Make your work problem theirs to solve.
The 6,600-watt megaphone of clear thinking. AM790 KABC.
We don't do this, we only see you as sex.
This is the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KBC. This is the second half an hour. This is when we're really warmed up on the sketch and we really get down to business. We're going to start getting a little crazy, you guys. We're talking to an imposter who changed careers after many years as an imposter, went to work in the mortuary business. And the one thing about the funeral business, from my understanding, is different religions have different beliefs about how the body should be treated after death. So it's important to go to the right mortuary.
That's why we're about to tread lightly in a swamp full of rusty nails and old clothes.
Okay.
Have you heard of the Thorigen people?
We're not going to get into that.
We are.
How does this relate to your job?
I did a little training on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi.
Was Father Rishi Yodinksy accepted there?
Not really.
As I understand things, the Torrigan people don't consider somebody to be dead as long as they're still at home.
It's also about the water buffalo. The water buffalo has to be sacrificed at their funeral.
Yes, I recall that detail.
It's also about what happens before the funeral and then the second funeral.
Well, unfortunately, classism enters the equation.
Should we be talking about a thing like that on this station?
This is Los Angeles' talk radio station. All beliefs and opinions are explored, at least those that don't hurt anybody.
You have some issues with how long a medically dead Torrigan stays at home?
Well, as I understand things, the lower classes are only able to keep their loved one at home for a few weeks. The middle class, a few months. The rich, for years.
That's where Father Rishi Yodinksy thought he could help.
Help? Or was there a fee?
Come on, Mr. Gerber. Father Ri's running a legitimate mortuary and funeral parlor. Even he's paying his employees in blue chip stamps, bitcoins, and wacky pack trading cards.
I believe Wacky Packages is the official name.
We're talking first run wacky packages from 67 to 69 and second runs from 73 to 77. The gross stuff, too, like Bum Bums and Ghoul Girl.
Well, what about Burpsy Cola or Feminist Spaghetti?
You're always trying to bring this back to employment discrimination.
Go wash your mouth out with A Jerks Cleanser or Ultra Blight toothpaste.
Hey, did Wacky Packs put you on your way to writing these dumb scripts?
I doubt it.
I am not kidding. Father Rishi Yodinksy is a real nice American man raised in Oklahoma. If you choose to be paid in first or second run Wacky Packs, he even includes the gum.
Chewed or unchewed? On another note, what exactly does a 45 to 50-year-old stick of gum look like?
I thought you'd know. You hang out with all those memorabilia people, those vintage nuts, those geriatric tiki lovers.
It isn't exactly like you're beating the gravel on memorabilia if you work for a company that pays you in blue chip stamps or wacky back trading cards, with or without ancient sticks of gum inside.
At least I'm not breaking into hotel rooms trying to steal back the memorabilia from the most famous imposter cases.
Are we supposed to jump up and down on pogo sticks?
Back to Indonesia. Sometimes I feel like I never left the island. A cup of kopi tubrik in the morning and bintang beer in the evenings after dusting the corpses.
I have a question. During the period of time the corpses are being fed and cared for on Sulawesi, well, where exactly does the food or drink go?
What was that now?
Yeah, where exactly does the food or drink go?
Oh, that's nothing. No big deal. They just tampune up the undigested food.
This raises several issues of importance to this show. For those listeners not familiar with the tampume, it's a vacuum-like device invented by the evil Myron Alfumbra, pronounced Matting, but spelled M&M. The device was originally duly marketed as an abortion device and a means of trimming an ever-growing Berber toupee up to 16 times a day. But due to whose hair Myron Alfumbra, pronounced Matting, and spelled otherwise, was cutting, the abortion tout stopped.
I am still waiting for you to ask how the tampunes got to the island of Sulawesi.
Oh, naturally, I presume a jacu bird dropped them off.
Come on, Mr. Gerber. You know jacu birds are from Brazil. Myron Alfumbra, pronounced Matting but spelled M&M, got the Alesia Culvers to drop off the tampunes.
I happen to know those are red-billed brush turkeys, and they don't fly across water and drop off tampunes.
Believe what you want.
Did you pick up any skills in Indonesia?
Yes, sir. I learned how to separate the Kopi Lewat coffee bean from the civet cat poop.
I'm shocked you didn't know how to do that before your travels.
Mungo Gerber, you can't expect an imposter to do everything. There's only so many jobs out there. The good jobs these days are going overseas anyway. Us American imposters don't speak enough languages to be competitive anymore.
How long did you stick around Indonesia?
Long enough for the second funerals.
Well, that's not possible. The second funeral is usually something like 3 years later. You were on this show in December.
Time doesn't travel in a linear fashion when you're living with the Torrigens.
I'm not sure about that.
I can tell you I was there 3 years. When we dug up the corpses or took them out of the wall, their clothes didn't look good anymore. The fashions had changed.
Look, I don't want to be making fun of Torrigen's religious practices.
Me neither. They do all this because they believe the corpse is sacred. They're really, into family doing all this.
Well, can we get back to San Gabriel?
We're getting there.
Are you still with Father Rishi Yodinksy?
No, they were onto me.
I thought you were impostering over there.
I wasn't. I wasn't until... Look, it's a hot job. There's nearly 120 gallons of fluids that have to be pumped.
Well, if you take the job, you've got to do the work, no matter how hard it is.
I've heard that.
Then keep pumping away. You'll reach 120 gallons sometimes. Hell, I pumped a lot more than that out of the sinking pedal boat in the Oxnard Marina.
I don't want to sound crass or anything, but who's going to notice if the person is in the ground? If it's me or their loved one.
I certainly think the family members would recognize their next of kin.
I'm an imposter. Besides, there's a whole lot of closed casket funerals.
Oh, this is completely morbid.
I really tried to be a good apprentice embalmer. I just couldn't do it. All I wanted to do with them, is embalm, and I just couldn't do it. I'm not crazy. Institution. You're the one who's crazy. Institution. You're driving me crazy. Institution.
Well, that's a good point. If they threw you at institution, we'd all be a lot better off.
Did I say all I wanted was a Pepsi?
Essentially, on another memorandum, you could do your embalming thing somewhere else. So you could show some other licensed embalmer your stuff, do the chemicals, the dermal surgery, the draining, prove what you've got. You've got what it takes to be an embalmer.
I got my embalmer's license. That's not the problem.
I'm not understanding the timeline here. Employment cases involve logical timelines. You were an imposter 2 weeks ago before you went to Father Rishi Yodinksy for a 2-year apprentice program. Somehow you were on the island of Sulawesi in Indonesia where you witnessed delayed Torrigen burial, then corpse exhuming, and clothes change 3 years later.
I had to. I paid $5 million for an embalmer's license at USC.
USC? It's not worth it.
For an entire career of embalming, not worth it? I could have been a cosmetologist for the dead.
Seriously, no non-professional school certificate or diploma from USC is worth $500,000 or $5 million.
I bet you're a Bruin.
Not really.
You've got something against USC?
Do they even issue embalmer certificates?
Good question. Do they?
I thought the state of California issues an embalmer certificate.
No, it's the Bureau who issues, an embalmer certificate.
Which bureau?
The Bureau.
Like the thing in some people's bedroom that has drawers?
I'm not finding this very funny.
Okay, the Bureau of Immigration issues embalmer certificates.
Are you some sort of commie?
I know very little about that particular bureau.
Do you know what's in your wife's bureau?
Coupons, expired coupons, all those blue chip stamps you paid me to be on the show.
Hey, you weren't supposed to mention the stamps.
You parsimoniously gave me 2 blue chip stamps, one for each kid on the last break.
Father Rishi Yodinksy has a whole drawer of embalmer certificates.
Oh, wow. This is getting really out of hand. We're going to have to take a break, find out why Father Yodinksy, or whatever his name is, has a drawer full of embalmer certificates when we come back to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show on Talk Radio 790 KBC.
I'm an imposter. I know. I'm an imposter.
The Employment Lawyers Group is a results-driven law firm whose goal is to get the right result for the client. They have represented employees with a high rate of success since 1993 throughout the state of California. They're only paid and if they are able to collect money from the employer, so there's not any upfront fees or costs in order to hire them. They have represented thousands of employees who've been terminated from their jobs, sexually harassed, subjected to employment discrimination, or are owed wages in an individualized or group basis such as a class action. Call 877-525-0700. That's 877-525-0700. They have operators standing by. They can also be reached at employeelawca.com. They have offices throughout Southern California. Hire them and make your workplace problem theirs to solve.
The beacon of common sense. AM790 KABC.
We don't do this, we only see you as sex objects. You should all quit your jobs and
Talk Radio 790 KBC. You're listening to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show. I'm Karl Gerber. I am a real workplace lawyer, and we do sketches on here to represent principles about the workplace, and we're broadcasting live from downtown trendy Culver City, where I have the most famous imposter in the Imposters Union, and he decided after many years being an imposter to get into the mortuary business, and I don't know, it worked out in a strange way. Now we're hearing that the man he was apprenticing under, Father Rishi Yodinksy, who was not a religious figure from any religion we're aware of, had a whole drawer of embalmer certificates in his bureau. Now, that's quite illegal and unethical. Mr. Imposter, had you been fired for complaining about those practices, would be able to sue for wrongful termination.
Yeah, here's one for you, commie. Give me a list of the top embalmed bodies.
Lennon, and I don't mean John. Why else would we be saying all this commie stuff? There's Eva Perón. She was embalmed, the most important embalmed lawyer.
Abraham Lincoln, who looked quite fine in 1901 when they opened his casket and moved him to a concrete vault.
And for all the bright-minded National Enquirer listeners we have, let's not forget about Lady Di.
Embalming. There's the washing, the drying, the chemicals, the clothing. It's just like being an imposter, making a dead person look alive.
What about making a living person look dead? Do you call that exbalming?
I've done that too.
Whoa. I'm not sure that's all part of your imposter fraud schemes. It certainly seems to be.
No, I did it for Father Rishi Yodinksy.
I knew there was something fraudulent behind his shamanism.
Nah, he's a very honest man with lots of adhesives.
Some believe an honest man wouldn't wear a hairpiece that requires adhesives.
Well, what about carpet strips?
Only fools wearing ever-growing Berber toupees that are actually nylon would wear carpet strips and padding underneath their toupees.
Right, but that's not what an adhesive is.
I know my adhesives. Scotch tape is the most common, but there are all sorts of construction adhesives out there.
Father Rishi Yodinsky's adhesives are in his mouth.
Right. Adhesives are used for dental implants and tooth bonding.
He puts his adhesives in his mouth.
Come now, Mr. Imposter. Spit it out. We're treading deeply into an absurdity.
You might call them followers. He's able to put his adhesives in his mouth.
A religious blessing?
No, he puts his adhesives in his mouth. They stick a little, and then somebody else gets them out.
What in the world are you talking about?
Mr. Gerber, has anyone ever made you into Scotch tape just for a little while?
No.
Me neither. I didn't think that was right.
I can't go down this path. People can't be made into adhesives.
That might be true, but what about the cow hooves?
Yeah, I don't think they make glue out of cow hooves anymore.
Oh, yeah? Wanna bet? Why do you think they've got a cow's head on top of that Elmer's glue?
That is a good question.
Actually, do you think Elmer's is part of the Wacky Pack organization and that picture is a joke?
Well, maybe the smiling cow's head is just there for, old time's sake.
I don't think so.
Hey, why'd you punch my toe with that Rocky Balboa boxing glove?
You aren't holding a green stretch Hulk.
I don't carry around weird toys from the 70s.
You should be. It's St. Patty's Day.
There's some green in my Hawaiian shirt that's better than a stretchy 13-inch figure that has red sticky stuff inside that will never come off the bottom of the lead paint in your closet growing up.
Wow. I always thought those were some big toys when I was a kid. But Remus Helms is an inch bigger.
I won't ask how you know.
Okay, very funny. Everybody knows. As you might recall, I was supposed to be bringing a load of his products, to Comdex during the dot-com bubble. We talked about that on episode 34 of this show, which can be heard on workplacelawyer.org. The past episodes page.
Yeah, that's workplacelawyer.org. That's all one word. I'd also recommend the listeners go to YouTube under Karl Gerber with a K and listen to the live stream if they're out of town, or just listen to the old episodes on YouTube, Karl Gerber with a K. Yeah, Imposter, I always mention this show is sponsored through a generous grant from the Helms Foundation, 14 inches of endowment, and $5 million in funding.
Well, Mr. Gerber, here's my gift to you for inviting me onto this show. It's an original condition Stretch Armstrong. These go for over like $175 to $3,000 on eBay.
Oh, thanks. I'll put this in a styrofoam container if it starts to ooh.
I guess I better find another job or get back to impostering.
How exactly did the job as an apprentice embalmer end?
There was this nose I just couldn't fix. I tried. I really tried. The guy OD'd on coke, whatever I did. The nose, it kept drooping over like a concrete too wet to form.
I completely know the feeling.
You've done work on corpses' noses?
Nah, I've been stuck trying to form concrete. Some idiot got too wet.
Look at my hands. Have you ever seen bigger hands?
Yes.
You say it's a matter of fact. I've got big hands.
Bigger than our president's, that's for sure.
Anyway, it's not easy to button a person's clothes who ain't helping. You know what I mean? Or unbutton. I just can't do it right with these hands.
I'm glad to know you never could be a rapist.
I find that joke in very poor taste.
That's why I made it.
And then all those fluids. I felt like I was robbing the guys of their juices.
What about the women?
Even worse.
You gave up on the job?
No, I found a way to do it without having to do the work.
Let me guess. You miniaturized yourself, cast a Jakku bird spell, maybe Father Rishi Yodinksy did a special dance, somebody invited or they invented something like a tampume-like device to do the work. Should I go on?
No.
And then did you pull a patent for your ingenious method of embalming people without really embalming them?
Look, I've got more than 25 years' experience as an imposter.
Okay.
I got in the coffins and pretended I was a dead person.
I'm not going to ask where the real corpse was.
Yeah, that was a problem. I almost got buried alive.
How did you get out of that little dilemma?
All those heavy rains.
Oy vey.
Presumably, Father Rishi Yodinksy found out about your little scheme.
My little scheme? I tried. I really tried to be a good embalmer, but she just wouldn't give it to me.
There's no she in here.
Who's the she in this?
Although I didn't practice cemetery liability law, there's a lot of liability for mixing up bodies under these particular circumstances.
I know. I think that only happened once when I was working as an embalming person.
This just goes to show late life career changes can be very dangerous. You could get buried alive.
Is that so? This has been another strange episode of the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show, originally intended to educate the listeners to the fact that some people may attempt a late life career change, which apparently there are no statistics available on how often people do a career change opposed to a mere job change, although we do know it becomes much less common the older people get, which doesn't really surprise me. But, if you're going to go do a job and you don't have the right license to do it, you don't want to fake it either, like our imposter friend. That's just crazy. You shouldn't do that. So I would encourage listeners to call me about a serious employment case at 877-525-0700. If they were fired from their job, they were paid in blue chip stamps or the equivalent, 877-525-0700. Once again, I am a real workplace lawyer throughout California, and I would like to hear from you if you have a case at 877-525-0700. For all these sketch comedy fans, and by the way, this week we had a YouTube explosion of listeners, so you should go to the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer channel. That's Karl with a K on YouTube. You also can listen on iTunes or any sound sharing system that exists, and you can also listen on the KBC website if you're out of town or you want to catch up on old episodes. This is actually episode 48 of this show. We've been doing it that long. And next week we'll be back from 7 to 8 o'clock on same station, which is Talk Radio 790 KBC. And we will talk about workplace issues in an amusing fashion. Hopefully you can learn. I think if I rambled off statistics, you wouldn't want to listen to the show and you wouldn't learn. The best way to learn is through these funny examples about the late life changes. And if we take things about a situation like the Torrigins, that's real. The crazy things like the Jacu bird droppings and the Kopi Luwak coffee, that's all real stuff. I don't make that up. We just make up the characters and the scenarios, but you learn about some unusual things, and we never want to make fun of anyone. This is an equal opportunity show. I am a real workplace discrimination lawyer. I fight for people being discriminated against and do religious discrimination and all that. So come back next week from 7 to 8 on Talk Radio 790 KBC for the Karl Gerber Workplace Lawyer Show.
This show furnished by Karl Gerber and Employment Lawyers Group.